Equal rights.
Well, hold on. No one said rights. Hold on a second. No. I care about them.
It is. It's equal rights. It's
Naima,
equal
let
access.
me finish. Now, who's interrupting who? I care about them so much. I want the only thing that they're ever judged on is to be their character or their competency, not their skin color.
Okay, so you want it to be a meritocracy. You
Yes.
want it to be
So we got a rematch here today. This girl right here, I believe her name is Naomi. She was on the Jubilee 25 versus 1 that Charlie Kirk was on. And, well, I guess she decided to come back for seconds. I guess she couldn't get enough of getting schooled by Charlie Kirk in a debate, so she came back for seconds. Does this go any better for her? According to my Magic 8 Ball, all signs point to no. But let's see how she does once again against Charlie Kirk.
To lower that one for me.
What's your name again?
Thank you. Naima, how are you doing?
Naima, it's been a while.
It's been a minute. How have you been?
Great.
That's fantastic. You did do that. I mean, you didn't, but Trump did. Yes.
The collective we, yeah.
Yes, the collective we. So speaking of Trump, I do want to talk a little bit about his policy on DEI. As you know, in his first weeks in office, he signed the executive order declaring that DEI is both unlawful and a threat to national unity. And I just kind of want to ask you to elaborate on why DEI is unlawful.
Well, based on the Civil Rights Act, which I have disagreements with, but based on the Civil Rights Act, which is the law of the land, it says you shall not discriminate based on color, race, creed, or origin of nationality.
Yes.
And DEI definitionally does those things.
How does it definitionally do those things?
So, for example, if you say you are going to hire a certain amount of people or have scholarships only for a certain people, you are then prejudicing against another group.
Which group are you prejudicing against?
White people, Asians as well. I mean, white people are an easy one off the top of your head. So, for example, in the Harvard admissions case, I said this earlier, the average test score for a black individual was around 1,300 SAT, about 3.2 GPA. For a white or Asian, it would be about a 3.9 to 4 GPA and about nearly a perfect SAT. So you are disenfranchising and stereotyping and prejudicing against whites or Asians in favor of blacks.
You're not prejudicing against whites or Asians, though, because DEI is not on a race basis. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion of all people. Affirmative action is what is intended to address racial inequality. But
Is this moron really making the case that this isn't race bait? It stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh, I didn't know that. Good thing we had whatever her freaking Naomi to clarify that it stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh yeah, diversity meaning less whites and less Asians. Equity meaning, well, we got to raise up these blacks because, of a long history of oppression. And inclusion for who? Oh, everyone that's non-white. Sometimes I'm so perplexed. Like, she comes on here and she's like, can you define what this is? And like, she's asking questions about it. Like, well, what does it do? And blah, blah, blah. Like, she doesn't know. Like, she knows that this is an anti-white thing. Like, she completely knows this. That's why they get on board with it, because they got indoctrinated with the whole, we live in a white supremacist country. And we need to uplift minorities and blah, blah, blah. And so now that people don't like DEI, now it's like, well, can you define what it is? See what it actually is.
Isn't on the basis of race.
Well, so DEI is a project of the affirmative action movement. So one comes before the other. He signed an executive order against both, for the record. So I wasn't sure which one you were talking about.
I'm talking about DEI.
So DEI, it depends what we mean in practice. So I can give you one example. There are black-only graduation ceremonies at certain schools, or black-only dormitories.
But those are kind of student-led.
I'm
part of a black-only
Let's
organization,
play this out.
And it's run by students. It's not
fair enough.
The school.
Let's play it out. So if there is a black-only, let's pretend, which it's not, that building is black-only. If I said that, if that building was white,
like the campus center?
No, I said let's pretend it's not.
Yes, hypothetically, yes.
Hypothetically, if that building was white only, you would agree that's a violation of the Civil Rights Act.
Yes, but there are no buildings on campus that are black only and white only.
Well,
and by the way,
but there are on other campuses.
No,
though.
but in those dormitories that are like culturally specific, you don't have to be that culture to live there. They're not going to not allow you to be black to live in a black dormitory.
You would
no,
be surprised.
white people do live at Ujima. That's not.
I don't know about that specific example. example, but if it says black only dormitory,
But it doesn't say black only.
but okay, how about this? How about if we had? Well, it does.
It
But
doesn't. Where? Where does it say that?
Just to be clear, well, in the title. But let's
No,
pretend
but
it says
where?
black.
Like what school? Where does it say black only building?
Eastern Washington University, Portland State University, just off the top of my head, San Jose State University.
They say black only dormitory? And if a white person were to apply to live there?
It's a black affinity
They would
cultural
not.
space of which only black individuals are accepted and governed for black individuals. But can we have white affinity cultural spaces?
You can have a white affinity cultural space. The activity is, the issue is
See,
that
I
you're
think
saying
that's against
black
the Civil Rights
only.
Act.
It's not black only. It's a black affinity cultural space. But anyone is invited if they would like to participate.
I would, first of all,
You cannot legislatively
I
allow
agree.
someone of any race to participate in
no,
something. That doesn't exist.
We agree. That's the spirit of the diversity, equity, inclusion order, is that DEI in practice, again, we have to go through example after example, is discrimination, prejudice,
Well,
and
let's
segregation.
talk about DEI in practice. Let's
Okay.
talk about DEI programs in the workforce, because DEI programs in the workforce happen to benefit veterans. They benefit people with disabilities. They benefit people at an economic desperate. They benefit lots of people that is not just on the basis of race. And to me, it feels like you're conflating DEI with pro-blackness or black only,
So
which is
let's-
not the definition of DEI.
So let's take a high-profile DEI example. Is that cool? Just maybe one we can play around with.
Okay.
Which I got me in a lot of viral trouble, which I don't care. Which is pilots.
I got in a lot of viral trouble too. I
Hey.
was debating this guy,
I
you know.
And he kept interrupting you.
He did.
I know, right? Which is this? Which is that, let's say DEI, a project of DEI at United Airlines was that we want to get 40% of our pilots to be black or women of color, or women or people of color.
40%.
50. I'm sorry, to get up to 50. It was at like 6%. So therefore, they wanted to make a push towards that, and it was currently at 6%. We look at that and we say, wow, you're going to have to lower standards to get to that goal.
Why would you have to lower standards?
Well, because
Are you saying that black people are
no,
inherently inferior?
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that black people are only 13% of the population. So you want 13% of the population.
Women are not 13% of the population. Women are 50% of the population.
Yeah, but women do not make up a majority of people that want to become pilots. In fact, the vast majority of women don't want to be pilots.
Maybe they would want to become pilots if the barriers for entry
Well,
weren't.
see, that now we're going down a different but equally fun direction, which is male-female differences. Men much more likely want to be involved in heavy machinery mechanics. They want to be pilots. They want to be tank operators. They want to be police officers. Whereas women much more likely want to be, I'll get to you, Mason. Don't worry. And I remember your name.
Yes, can Mason go? They won't let him go because he's
I'll
not
let Mason
USC.
go. I'll
There
let
we
Mason go. But just, Mason, have some patience. We did this last time, okay? But do you understand, at least from our perspective, because it's no good for us to go back and forth again, maybe from our perspective, that we worry that the pursuit of diversity can mean the compromising of excellence?
Charlie Kirk, this country is diverse. You can't just say the pursuit of diversity.
So you can immediately tell by the type of language this woman, they're all like this. Like, they'll come in here and they'll try to tell you, like, well, actually, no, DEI is it actually helps, like she's doing. Oh, actually, it helps people with disabilities. It actually helps veterans. It actually does this. They always try to gaslight you, tell you, actually, it's this. But then she starts using language like this. Well, this country is diverse, which, yeah, this country is diverse. It's already diverse, and there's already no barriers to entry for any race or a group of people. Like, that's already been done away with a long time ago with the Civil Rights Act. So we don't need DEI and all this stuff. If there's actual proof that there's a workplace discriminating against people because of their race, you could already hold them legally liable. That would be breaking the law.
Compromising excellence. Diversity literally just means difference. This country is 13% black. It's 14% immigrant. It's 1/5 of every person in this country is Hispanic. It's 7% homosexual, and 50% of the country disagrees with you.
Okay,
Diversity is America. You cannot say
all of that is
that
true.
you
Hold on.
are America first if you do not care about half of America.
I care about them so much, in fact.
You care about them so much that you
hold
don't
on.
want to give them
I didn't interrupt you.
access.
See, and so to her, you're not giving them access if you don't want DEI. See that sneaky language there? So in her, she equates that if we don't have DEI, then you're not giving them access. Like, again, if we don't have DEI, then I guess no black people would have jobs. or no black people would become pilots if we didn't have DEI.
Equal rights.
Well, hold on. No one said rights. Hold on a second. No. I care about them.
It is. It's equal rights. It's
Naima,
equal
let
access.
me finish. Now who's interrupting who? I care about them so much. I want the only thing that they're ever judged on is to be their character or their competency, not their skin color.
Okay, so you want it to be a meritocracy.
Yes.
So let's talk about a meritocracy.
Okay.
What experience does Kash Patel have to run the FBI?
He has amazing experience.
No,
In
he
fact,
doesn't. He wanted to start.
Okay, so no, wait a minute. This girl is bringing up Kash Patel? What? So wait a minute. In her worldview, though, Kash Patel would actually be a good thing because he's non-white. He's, I believe, an Indian gentleman. But for some reason, she has Kash Patel being the head of the FBI? I thought that's a good thing. I thought that would be a good thing in her eyes because we're giving it to an Indian, a minority. We're giving that position to diversity and equity and inclusion. I thought she would be pro that. Oh, but since Kash Patel, he's serving for the Trump administration, the right-wing organization, and Kash Patel wants to serve in the name of America and not her wacko left-wing ideology. Now Kash Patel is a problem. So it's clear she doesn't care about meritocracy or DEI. She just cares, oh yeah, we want minorities, but as long as those minorities agree with me.
UFC fighting program
He has
at
amazing
the FBI.
experience. I got 5 words in. He was the most important thing. He was a public defender.
That's not what that's not the job of the FBI. He has no experience in the FBI.
He was a public defender and he was a special prosecutor.
Was he ever a member of the FBI?
No, but
he doesn't have the merit to have
hold
that
on a
job. All
second.
right, let's do another example.
But
what experience
I'm
does
not done.
Linda McMahon?
I'm not
what
done.
experience does Linda McMahon have to run?
She ran the
Department of
Small
Education?
Business Administration in the first term, which is a big, big organization. She was the head of the SBA.
When she was the CEO of
No, hold
WWE,
on. I'm not even talking about that. She ran the SBA. By
one
the way,
of her employees was engaging in pedophilic behavior with their ring boys under her watch.
I'm not going to defend
and now
that.
she is somehow qualified to be responsible for all of America's children?
Hold on a second. She was previously a cabinet secretary and then became a different cabinet secretary. That's like a one-to-one.
Yeah, and then before that, she was enabling a pedophile.
So what you're first of all, I don't know about that instance. If that's true, that's wrong.
That's very much true. How do you?
But who cares about that? Is what I'm trying to say. So first of all, again, notice how she's always going over the right wingers. Okay, when they had when they announced freaking that judge who couldn't even answer, what is it, Ketanji Jackson or whatever her name was, to the Supreme Court, and she couldn't even answer what a woman is. Oh, I bet there was no complaints from her. I bet there was no complaints from her about that. I bet that was beautiful. That was brave. That was great. You know. Then you have all these people under the left-wing government that had no business being there. In fact, they were in there to screw over the country. At least in Trump's administration, at least on the surface anyway, it appears that they're here to serve the American people. But you have people but overall, you have people in there to serve the American people, where under Biden's regime, you had all these diversity hires, and all of them were there because they were minorities. And a lot of them were there because they were minorities. I mean, Karine Jean-Pierre is like one of them, one of the most famous examples. Or Kamala Harris, I should say, is like another example, who had no business being there. And I bet there was not a peep from this girl right here. Not a single peep complaining about it. So it shows you exactly that this is coming from an ideological place, and not from a place of actually trying to explain what DEI is and why it's good.
I don't know about every...
It's like very much public information. It's really important to know that the head of the Department of Education is currently in a lawsuit.
But let me finish the point, which is that the WWE can be easily made fun of. That's a serious business, though. It's a multi-billion-dollar business.
It is, that engaged in pedophilic activities.
Of which I denounce. I don't support that. However, she was head of the SBA, and now she's head of the Department of Education. Tell me another unqualified person.
Another unqualified person?
Marco Rubio
Hegseth.
Okay.
No, actually, I think Marco is slightly more qualified.
Let's talk about Hegseth. He's the most qualified because he actually accepted enemy fire and lost loved ones and friends of his own.
That doesn't make you...
Hold on.
Dude,
to
that
run
doesn't give
to
you...
run the U.S. military, to be a warrior, not just an academic general. That's very important.
Look, dude, I respect veterans. My boyfriend's a veteran. I love veterans. That being said, not every person who is a veteran is qualified to run the Department of Defense.
I think he's also shown the last couple of weeks he's doing a pretty phenomenal job. The prior head of the DOD, Lloyd Austin, could barely climb up a flight of stairs. Pete Hegseth is up at 5 a.m. doing PT with the troops, running miles, and then doing an entire day at the Pentagon. And you might say that doesn't matter. I actually think physical fitness and being a good example to our troops is very important when you're the head of the Department of Defense.
Okay, but being the head of the Department of Defense is not about doing push-ups.
Hold on, but first of all, it's actually just refreshing versus Mark Milley and Lloyd Austin. But secondly, I will say the criteria is that he's a warrior's warrior. He's someone that was in the front lines and actually received medals and knows what it's like to lose loved ones. And the other people that were qualified, Naima, were people that got us in endless wars, people that never saw combat. I think it's finally time that we have someone in combat that runs the Secretary of Defense. I think that's immensely qualified.
Okay, sure. So we'll take Pete Hegseth for Department of Defense.
Yes, he's doing a great job.
We'll take someone who enabled pedophilia for the Department of Education.
That's an unfair
We'll take Kash Patel,
categorization.
who has never worked in the FBI.
He was a prosecutor, so the FBI's a...
Dude, do you remember what he said when he first got the nomination?
Do you want to go back to Kash Patel for a second?
He said, yeah. I'm like, this is sick.
Okay, can we go back to Kash Patel, though?
That is like insanely inappropriate.
Can we go back to Kash Patel? So he was himself a prosecutor that tried cases. That's a law enforcement mechanism. I think they're asking for someone else.
All right,
Naima, great to see you again.
Yeah, so listen, that woman's an idiot. There probably being some people that are like, Charlie Kirk completely lost that one. No. It's always a losing argument when you're defending DEI, and her argument basically came out to, well, what aboutisms? Wasn't so much as a defense of DEI. Well, I mean, she did try a defense of DEI, but when Charlie Kirk thoroughly debunked them, then she went into the whataboutisms, which again, even if everything she said about the people she brought up were true, once again, I would like to remind you, she didn't have any problems with any of the Democrat picks, even when they were outright saying, yes, we need a woman of color for the vice president, or a woman of color to be the press secretary, or a woman of color to be the Supreme Court justice. Like, she sees no problem with that. So even if she was absolutely correct in it that none of the right-wing picks cut out for their jobs, well, who cares? Because she's pro-hiring people based on arbitrary characteristics. You can really tell by the way she looks and stuff that she is definitely one of these stupid college ideologically driven kids brainwashed again by our system, which is why I think Charlie Kirk goes to these places, because this is the hub of the brainwashing. This is the hub where you find all the libtards there grouped together because they've been indoctrinated in their school. And that is why he does these debates, which is why I like him. I like watching Charlie Kirk do his thing. But what did you guys think about this? How do you think this debate went? Sound off in the comment section below. If you like seeing Charlie Kirk do his thing, if you like seeing him watch libtarded college students, I got a whole playlist for you on the screen, as well as more content very similar to this that I think you'll enjoy.